Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 3 of the Meet the Bus podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Reckis. See, look at that. Hey, that's a pretty good intro right there. Okay, I'm a big fan of that. Intro. And in record time here, folks, last week, got a lot of comments about this. And I'm hitting it right off the bat this week. I'm going to introduce my guest. I'm going to be a good host of this show. I'm going to be a good host of a podcast. We're dumping in because I think somebody told me I took like 3 minutes to introduce my guest. That's so true. I took forever. I just talked the whole time, but also it's my brother and he'll be chilling. So, yeah, episode 3, my guest on the episode today. Oh my God, I'm already taking 3 minutes to do this. Here we go. I'm just setting it up. So, obviously last week I had my brother on the podcast, to kind of start, introducing the bus, if you will, kind of how my journey started and my inspiration for this whole thing, but when we're meeting the bus and when we're hopping on the bus, you got to sit next to somebody. And how about the first person I ever sat next to in drum corps? My first seat partner ever in drum corps. I marched with him in 2016 and 2018 with the Oregon Crusaders. Ladies and gentlemen, Riley Fitzpatrick. Welcome onto the show, good sir.
Thank you, Jeff. That was a damn good intro. Yeah,
dude, absolutely. Thanks, bud. I think I'm getting better.
Yeah, absolutely. Riley Fitzpatrick. Have a lot of nicknames out there too that seem to float around. I go by Chef Fitz most of the time, and
Chef Fitz, R-Dog Fitz.
R-Dog Fitz, Chef Fitz. I've been called Potato Bitch before. Like, some people call me Beats Pill. Don't know where that came from. So before? I have been called Potato Bitch before. Yeah.
Is that just that's an Idaho thing?
Must be. I don't know. Yeah. It's gotta be. Yep.
See. Oh no, my dog's set up. Oh no, I gotta get my docs together. Because I got my Google Doc with my questions for this week. If you want to introduce the people real quick, where are you from? What you be doing nowadays?
Yeah. Absolutely. So I said I marched 2016, 2018 Oregon Crusaders with him. I am from Boise, Idaho originally. I reside in Lewiston, Idaho right now. Furthest inland port, I guess. I don't know. That's the only cool thing about this place. It smells like fucking rotten broccoli all the time. I live with.
Don't forget to tell the folks about. Correct me if I'm wrong here. The oldest McDonald's in America.
There is one of them. One of them. I don't know. I work in the same parking lot. I work at the hotel across the street from it, so I just know that it's like one of the oldest. It's like the 5th one ever established, I guess. I don't know. It's pretty cool.
I'll never forget because the last time I saw you was a couple years ago when we went to the Tyler the Creator concert in Portland. Yeah. That was spring 22, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I get there, I get off the plane, you guys pick me up at the airport, and we start heading down, and we get there after the 2-hour drive, which was beautiful, by the way. Any 2-hour drive in the West Coast is incredible. I'm not complaining about a 2-hour drive in the West Coast. I'm like, you know what? How can you complain at that view?
Well, I mean, shit, it's different. Every 10 minutes, you look out the window. It's sometimes you got trees, sometimes you got a river next to you. Then next thing you know, you're in some Highland desert thing. It's kind of crazy.
And then
it's
you
cool
got
just see it.
The Internet Explorer backdrop sometimes, just for about 10 minutes.
Just casually, just for 10 minutes.
Web browse in the back. You're like, I've fucking seen that before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm from Idaho though. I've lived here my whole life. In fact, my first glimpse at the rest of the United States was in 2016 on tour. So that was kind of cool. I mean, the furthest other than that I ever gone was Oregon. So I was familiar with the area already. So
was that your first time out of your hometown was going in 2016?
Not I don't know. In a way, I guess you could say, yeah, because what it was is I left my hometown for longer than a week, right? That's what I would say. Because vacations and stuff, we would go to the Oregon coast or we would go to Seattle. One time we went to California, but that was really I've only ever been on the West Coast prior to that year.
Right.
And the second we hit Wyoming, I'm like, where the fuck are we, man?
Fuck? And then you're Texas and you're like, what the fuck?
I didn't know this place existed
right now.
I only seen it on maps before and in the news. And then it's oh God, it's just as bad.
There is no way Mississippi's real.
Yeah. Well, no. No hate towards Texas though, for sure though. I have no beef with anything that goes on in Texas. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have to dive too deep into that one, but
The country of Texas.
yeah, the country of
The
Texas.
big
Yeah,
the big country of Texas.
yeah. We had to get passports. I remember. No. Good shit. Yeah,
Mm.
that's about all I got for introduction.
So getting into this now, that's super interesting. I'm gonna come back to that like later about getting to see the rest of the world, because I didn't even know that. I didn't know that till right now, that was like your first time really like getting to go see everything like that. So I think that's cool. We're definitely gonna bring that up later here. But first, let's just talk about like, I feel like as I've known you, because I've known you since 2016, since I was 14 fucking years old, and here I am sitting in front of you as 22 years old. So I've known you for a minute now, and you've done a lot of different things in your life in the time that I've known you. So I guess my first question, it's a pretty easy one. I was trying to lead in, but what got you into band in the first place? Because I feel like you have so many different things that you do in your life. How did band become a part of your life?
For sure. Yeah, band really kind of kicked off in middle school, right? Because I actually remember the day I was doing sixth grade sign up and, going in and trying to check out all the little different activities. And I ran into the band teacher. His name is Doug Davis, and goofiest dude ever. Shout out Doug. Shout out Doug Davis. He is seriously like one of the best band teachers I've ever had. Like super patient, super nice. Always had some funny stories. He talks so much shit about his like sister-in-law or whatever. He like drew a picture of he drew a picture of a gorilla on the whiteboard and said like, "There's a picture of my fucking sister-in-law right there." And I'm like, damn. Anyway, that was Doug. But I went up and talked to him, and I said like, what's the weirdest instrument that anybody's ever played in this band? He's like, well, I don't really know. Like we've had oboe players in the past, but one that I really want is a bassoon player. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. I go into band class, and he says like, we'll get a bassoon for you. We'll make sure it's like, school instrument. All you have to do is pick up reeds, everything like that. I went and bought some bassoon reeds, like just like, well, I think it was just like one of the stupid little fucking,
it's
what
so stupid because I think they only sell like one. Like whenever I got to college, you talk to like reed players, and they're like, fucking
like they make their own. They make their own.
Yeah.
They're like carving it out of like fucking magic maple wood. Like this tone gives me brightness, and then this part of the reed, I don't even know. But I just like bought the most generic one. It was like $45. I'm like, okay, cool.
Fuck, I can't afford this one.
Exactly. But moving forward from that though, I got to band class and he didn't have it. And I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I'll sit, just kind of observe for a little while, just kind of see if this is something I'd be into. Was immediately into it just right off the bat. They were playing like Star Spangled Banner, a bunch of sixth graders, honking on instruments they never played before. Beautiful sounds from everybody all the time. Amen. And it got to like about the end of that week, and the bassoon still wasn't there. So I went up to Mr. Davis, and I was like, "Hey, man, like,
I want to fucking play.
Like, what's going on? Like, I want to play. Like, I want to play music." And he's like, okay, how about we have you pick up a saxophone? And that was pretty cool. So I ended up starting my music career on saxophone. Started with alto sax. The next year, I joined a middle school jazz band. The next year, started playing tenor sax. And then my senior, like 8th grade year of middle school.
Senior year of middle school.
My senior year of middle school, I guess. I don't know how to equate that, but I actually picked up the bari sax, and that's kind of what sort of sparked the love for music, I guess, and just sort of wanting to be in band.
Bari sax is a beautiful instrument, by the way. That is just,
dude.
Playing that thing's a beast, but
yeah. And I found one the other day on like Craigslist for like $200.
And you're like, might fuck around?
I
might pick this shit back up again. So I'm curious. I had this down, and I'm really curious. Well, actually, let's just ask first. How do you pick up a trumpet? Because I didn't even know about all these other woodwind instruments. How do we pick up the trumpet? How do we get
that? That's like almost right next in the story chronologically. So I get to high school, right? Like eighth grade, graduated middle school, loving life. Flying high on this bari sax route. I want to go play in the marching band as a freshman. That was like pretty uncommon at my high school.
Really?
They mostly only they didn't really let freshmen in. You would have to audition if you wanted to. So I went and auditioned on Barry Sax, and I totally blew my audition, by the way. This is story number 1.
Did y'all have to audition for high school?
Yeah.
And that's crazy, bro. Hey, if you come to this side, if you come to the South, they're letting 7th graders get on that fucking field, dude. I swear to God.
I don't know. Can you stand and walk and play? And then yeah.
Can you breathe and talk to me? Get out there. Like, I swear to God. Like I taught in Tennessee for a year, and I taught with somebody who taught in Kentucky, and they're like, yeah, my 7th graders in the high school band. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, they start letting them in early. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Damn,
so dude. That's crazy. Y'all had to, dude, high competition up there in the P&W.
Even though all the bands are what would be called not good. Like most of them are like not good.
Applicable.
They're like average at best. But and we're always like watching like BOA videos and stuff like throughout that. But anyway, audition for marching band on Barry Sax, blew the audition, and also I got to my first day of like regular, just like concert band. That was sort of like, the freshman band for anybody, or like the not serious one, so to speak. Band isn't serious, just as a quick aside. Band is not that serious. And it's hilarious how serious people take it.
We learn later.
We learn way later in life that none of it actually
people
really
go
mattered.
way too hard.
But hey, I mean, props to them. They just want to be better than everybody else, so can't hate the fight. Got into concert band, and I had a buddy, his name's Grant, and he was playing trumpet throughout. I went to middle school with him, and he went to the same high school. I ended up getting to band that day, and they didn't have a Barry Sax for me. This is like my life right now. Like they just don't have instruments ready for me. So they
never have shit for you. You show up and you're like, I want to be out there. And they're like,
I don't know. I just want to be out there, man.
Probably go home. And you're like, oh no.
Yeah. So they didn't have the Barry Sax. So I broke into Grant's locker, his band locker, and stole his trumpet and just picked it up that day. And I was like asking the people next to me, I'm like, yo, how the fuck do I play this thing? Like,
yo, you started your life as a criminal. Oh my God.
Pretty much.
Shout out Grant. Shout out Grant.
I think I gave him a little bit. Shout out Grant. Grant Baldwin, real one right there. Good dude. His wife's awesome too. Anyway,
hell yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it started. I remember just kind of like sitting there and picking up trumpet, and then over the next couple of years, I ended up just kind of sticking with it. It just kind of stuck with me. It was one of those where I was just like, this is a cool one. I was really into it. Ended up taking trumpet all the way through high school, and even a little bit past into college. So
what got you into drum corps being up there?
Yeah, so back to the auditioning for marching band. That was always something I wanted to do. I was really, really, really into it. I was like, this is super cool, just sweating my ass off on an asphalt pavement painted like a football field. Like it looks pretty cool. It looks cool, right? It looks like really cool from the outside.
And it's hot as fuck on that thing.
Yeah, it like we had cases where kids' shoes melted throughout like our like rehearsals. It like 112 on the asphalt.
No, I quit that day.
I know.
I quit.
And we did Texas 2018, buddy.
And I did 4 years of that shit. I quit that day.
Yeah. So anyway, throughout high school, though, we would always use drum corps like videos as like the example, right? Like we'd be like, oh, like this is what you can achieve if you do really good. They don't stress the administrative side enough in high school about marching band, about how important that part is. But regardless, it always was like cool, like set an example. I remember watching like Phantom Regiment 2011, and I was like, damn, I'm a fanboy. I'm like, I love that. It's such a good show all the way through and through. And I was just like, damn, this is so cool. So in my senior year, I learned of the Oregon Crusaders. I was just like looking around like online, I put out a couple audition tapes. I think I put out an audition tape to Phantom. That quickly got denied.
I'm kind of curious about something. Not to cut you off. It kind of has to do with it, but I'm curious because like where I went to school, where I went to high school, we had people on staff who taught us who had all marched drum corps for the most part. And And so there was like a natural like source of recruitment to go do this thing at certain places, because in the Midwest, you immediately have around you, you have Colts, Blue Stars, Cavaliers, Phantom, you have all of that right there. So like there would be flyers in our schools to like in the band hallway to like, go do this stuff. With there being like only a couple groups, I feel like, you got BD, SEV, Oregon, Seattle, Troop, like, that's a good handful right there. But how is recruitment for drum corps up in the Pacific Northwest?
I'd say it's pretty minimal, especially in Idaho. There's not like a big focus on like music education in Idaho. I think that a lot of it kind of comes from it stems down from where I actually used to go to college, University of Idaho. Because some of those guys actually ended up writing for like Spokane Thunder when they were still around, and a couple of them would go to like Impact and a bunch of other like little tiny kind of like open class corps. And that's kind of like the buzz around it in Idaho is like open class, just because it's a little bit more achievable, I guess, but you don't really get like the general like education around like what it is, like what the actual activity is. And like it takes a lot of just putting yourself into a space where you're going to learn more about it and surrounding yourself with people who have. Like one of my like band techs, March Phantom 2011, crazy, and he's from Idaho. He actually went to high school like 2 blocks away from ours. But yeah, dude, I mean, like that's kind of how like I learned about it. I also had there was a color guard tech on staff my senior year that marched Santa Clara Vanguard in 2013. Like, so we had it's kind of like just like the random big hitters, right? Like just a bunch of random people that just kind of show up and they're like, hey, you should try out drum corps. You should go see what it's about. Maybe like go check out like, I don't think that any reasonable, there were some really good trumpet players kind of around, but like most of the brass like kids in Idaho, from what I've seen, at least in the Boise area, they're not the best, right? Like there's not a lot of, they're cool. They're doing great. They're learning still. They're really young, really green still. Cause the education, back to what I was saying, is out of U of I, a lot of that's like the biggest music college around right now, like in the state. Is a lot of people move to U of I or Moscow, where it is, to learn about music, and then they end up going and getting teaching jobs and teaching, but it's a very specific and niche way of learning music.
Interesting.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's really odd, just kind of how that spreads like that.
I think it's kind of cool that like open class was getting some love in that case, where it's like like, I don't know, coming from where I come from, like, getting taught by people who march scouts or wherever, it's just like, well, if I'm not fucking marching there, I'm not doing it. And like anybody else who goes and marches open class is a loser. And so like, and it's a kid coming up, you're like, well, I don't want to do that. Because like my mom always mentioned, and I ended up like sending a video to SEVC before Oregon in 2016. And, I go meet with, oh my God, I think her name's Margaret Bergman, ? I'll never forget. I drove like an hour and a half, for real. Shout out Margaret. Because I drove like an hour and a half out to this random guard competition, and I met up with her, and she was a very nice lady. She hooked me up. Like she was like the one who like, I don't even know how we met or how we even got connected, but she was the one who helped me out, because I was like, man, I got nowhere to go. I'm trying to march somewhere this summer. And I don't know how we even got in contact. I think she just got my like cut list or something. And she was like, well, SEVC's open. And I was like, Mom, the fuck is this? Like, open class is stupid. That's what all the kids are saying at school. And she's like, you should try it. Like, you're 14, kid. And I'm like, I know, I should try it. So, I think that's really cool though that open class was getting some love. Shout out.
Especially that year before Spokane Thunder. I don't think that they're around anymore. They were really small the year that I think that was 2015, the year before they folded. There was a big push where it was like, they put up a lot of advertisement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just nobody really bid on it, just because there were those two schools of thought of like classically trained musicians on one side where people tended to gravitate towards, and then marching, marching music. They're two very different styles, and a lot of people erred more towards the classical side, and
very
especially
conflicting
in Idaho education. Yeah.
As you like make your way through the music world, as you keep like expanding as a musician and you do both of these things, it's just so weird. Like I was I was a music student in college when I started out, and like coming from, a whole brass staff who has all these, all this credibility, and they teach you all these incredible things, and you come back to your school and you're like, I just learned all these great things this summer, and your director's like, don't do any of that actually. And you're like,
no, exactly. That's what I was actually told. Yeah, exactly. When I
just did it and it was good.
Yeah, I went to U of I my first year in the marching band, and they always told you like, don't be the know-it-all kid. And I wasn't. I went in with a pretty open mindset. I definitely demanded excellence for myself. I didn't demand it from everybody else, because it's some people, this is literally their credit to take so that they can relax during the day. Yeah. So I learned that one pretty quick, and but still I was like, fucking just absolutely basically fucking castrated over this shit. Like people would sit here and just shit on that experience for me. It's like, no, like it was good.
It was still valid. Good. And you learned a lot of great things. You know what I'm saying?
I met some of like the biggest like names in like modern music today.
Yeah.
I met them. Like,
that's
like
real.
Alex Blue and fucking Brad Kerr Green and any of these guys.
Can I tell you a story?
Like, yeah, I want to hear a story right now.
So it's just very quick. So you said Alex Blue, and I was like, by the way, if he ever sees this, hilarious. But this summer, shout out Alex Blue, the coolest guy of all time. So cool. But this summer I went to go see my good friend Joey Teixeira. He was a lead trumpet soloist for the Blue Devils, and I went to go see him at MTSU because I was like, I'm right down the street. I went to school there. Go see the boy. So I go see him rehearse and all that, and I'm like, holy fuck, I forgot Blue teaches here. And like, it's so surreal, like going up there, watching my friend. And then I'm like, that was my caption in 2016. I'm like talking to my friend. I'm like, hey, that guy taught me in 2016. That visual tech taught me in 20. I'm like, this is crazy. But funny story. I was walking with Joey after the show, the Murfreesboro show. So the next night I'm walking back to hit the food truck with him. And we're just talking about the show and the other shows I saw. And I was like, everyone was bad. You were great. But we're walking, and fucking Alex Blue is walking right at us, and Joey goes to ask him a question. I don't know if he remembers that. Probably doesn't. But I sit there the whole time. Joey's like, hey, Blue, did you see blah, blah, blah? And I'm literally sitting from like me to my screen right in front of Alex Blue. And I'm like, I didn't say a word the whole time.
Yeah. I didn't say shit.
You just couldn't bring yourself. Hey, man, so you taught me back in 2016. Like, do you remember me? And I was like, who the fuck are you, kid? Like, no. And I'm like, I was probably best not to say anything. But I'll be like, hey, dude, I remember you. You were a real one. So absolutely. Quick story. Yeah, no, he was the best. Yeah. But moving on, because we're 25 minutes in here. Let's get to the drum corps parts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's do it.
So getting into our first season in 2016. First off, I just want to talk about what were your emotions walking into your first audition? Like first audition jitters. I feel like everybody has some when you do your very first drum corps audition. What was that experience like for you?
So that audition was at a camp it was that middle of fucking bumfuck nowhere place up in the mountains with like no service. I remember that they like fed us cereal for breakfast, and I puked.
Did you do the satellite camp, or did you do?
Yeah. So it wasn't a satellite camp. I don't think. I don't know. I was there with Davis Gibbons. He was a vet. I don't think he ever met Davis, but I don't even think he drove me there. Crazy story too. Like he did not. He was going to, but he ended up not. He had other things to do, so he ended up not marching that season. Super cool dude though. Wild story. Even just getting there, like we got pulled over. Dude had like 3 ounces of questionable substance in the car. I'm not going to incriminate the man, but he just didn't even say anything. Like, and we just ended up. The cop was like, we got pulled over for speeding, and then we ended up. He's like, okay, bye. And then we kept driving, and we're like,
that's
okay,
the Northwest for you guys.
That's the Northwest.
I swear to God, that's the Northwest, dude.
The Northwest. Well, we were still in Idaho too, which is like, oof. Anyway,
oh man,
we ended up getting to the camp. Just immediately off the bat, no one was there. We were the first people there.
That
like
sucks.
Not even admin, anything like that. It's like 10 o'clock at night and nobody's there.
Yeah.
And they said like early check-ins like at like 9:30 or something like that. I'm like, what?
That happened to me in move-ins in 2016. I was like one of the first 4 people. I was on the first shuttle. So like we had to set up everything in the school, set up like get everything off the truck. Yeah. It fucking sucks when you're the first one there. Get there last. Get there the day of.
Yeah. I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but I was 3 days late to move-ins because of school, so I was kind of fortunate for that one. So, but yeah, I ended up getting to that first audition though, and I, of course, was nervous. Like I was shaking like a goddamn leaf. Like I had only known like Brad Green for like maybe like a day's worth of time. And then I get into my audition with him. I'm like right in the middle of the pack too. So it's like I can cut or not cut today. And it doesn't really matter, but cool experience anyway. But I just remember walking into that room and doing my box drill and shaking, like just shaking the entire time so bad.
Yeah.
And Brad looks at me and he's like, so how do you think that went? I was like, oh my God.
Not even like any fucking
I just
wanted like constructive response there.
No.
So
he did
tell me what you think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's like, so tell me what you think about that. No. And then he said, do you want to try again?
You're like,
and I said, sure.
Well, so now I don't know anymore.
I wanted to try again. Absolutely. It was like the lip slur box drill, whatever the hell. And it was so dumb. Yeah. But I ended up doing it again, like marginally better, like not much better. Like just like marginally better. And he's like, okay, so, and he gave me some feedback. I don't remember any of it because at that point I just wanted to melt into a puddle and not exist. Yeah. This man is like super, super nice, like up to face. Brad Green is like the nicest man. On the surface, he is terrifying. He just absolutely like stares into your soul and delivers a beam. Yeah, scary. Yeah. He just delivers a beam of just like you will do this. And you're like, yes.
that man through my career, like I gotta credit him because after meeting him and getting taught by him, I never was afraid of anybody ever again because I knew it will never get worse than this. But it was a respect thing though, because I respected him so much and I liked him as like a person, educator, everything, that I was like, bro, you gotta be on when you walk into his rehearsals, bro. Because it's just like he was just on point every day. Like he was coming, he was there to work. So it was just like, I mean, I'll never forget, like jumping in quick here, but like in 2016, like he had left tour for a little bit and then we do a show in Belton in Texas and it's a random show. No one says anything. And we're walking up to the gate and we're like, hey man, dude, hey, this is a cool show and everything. We're bringing the props up. We're like, we're laughing and everything because like Brad's been off a tour. We're like, oh my God, we can like laugh and shit again. It's cool. We get to the tunnel. Who's standing there with the sunglasses on, arms folded, just in the tunnel, just what's up, OC? And you're like, oh my God, like, everything you lucky.
You stand up a little bit taller. Like you're just like, hey man.
Hey Brad. Yeah, no, we've been doing great. We'll be doing like he's like, you're about to do the show. And he's like, we've been doing good work this past week. You're like, yep. No, it's been good. It's been good.
It's been good. Yep. That's the only answer. It's been good. There is a correct answer, and it's been good. Yeah.
It's been good. It's been good. So obviously jumping into 2016, obviously we make it there. We get into the season and everything. Talking about move-ins in spring training a little bit. Did it happen for you in like spring training or tour? But I kind of want to talk about, and I don't know if this is like a wall question or not, but what was like your first welcome to drum corps moment? I don't know if that's necessarily like when did you hit your wall question, but like what was your like welcome to drum corps moment where you're like, oh, this is what we're doing?
I think it was after the first week of move-ins, because you guys were at the Western Mennonite High School or school,
Oh my
whatever the
God.
hell
Was
that little
that the
town
one that
is.
didn't have like the service at all? Like
Yeah, and then they
that was
just put
every
Wi-Fi
organization
in
site.
just for us in 2018.
Yes. Yeah, but it was like only you could only get it like I think like outside the door. Like
Yeah.
you had to go outside the gym to the
Yeah.
outside door to get fucking service.
Yeah, so we're basically in
Yeah.
the middle of goddamn nowhere. And after
Yeah.
I get dropped off and I have no time. Like I literally get dropped off. I have my stuff. They don't say, "Hey, take some time to like put your stuff away, get settled, do whatever." We're in the middle of full ensemble.
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
ran. I
Into it.
put my fucking shoes on. I took my gloves on. I grabbed my trumpet. I said, "Bye, Dad," and I ran. I ran straight to the sideline.
Did your dad dropped you off?
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so what's going through your mind there? Because that's got to be the most like, oh my
That
god, oh
was
my god, oh
that
my
was
god, oh my
definitely
god.
like the drum corps moment for me, where I was like, the wall question is always the one that like everybody asks, right? Like, what's your first
Everyone's
wall?
gonna be like, what's your wall
okay,
like?
like my wall was horrific. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about that. Like,
Everyone
I don't
hits the
like
wall.
everybody hits
Michael
a wall
Freeney's wall.
Michael Freeney's wall. Dude,
That's not. I'm not laughing because
you shouldn't laugh
all
because
his walls.
it's
It's not a
funny.
laughing at him. It's a laughing through relation that it's
Yeah.
happened to all of us before. But
yeah,
I won't forget that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
all
that
watched that one
showing
live.
up to that rehearsal, it felt just like lonely in a sense, but I knew that I was
Yeah.
going to be surrounded by people who would support me throughout the season. So that's kind of where it ended up landing, was like, I ran in, and that's where I was like, okay, like I have had zero time to adjust, and
You're
we're
hopping
just
right
going
into
for
this
it. We're
life.
just jumping right in.
Yeah.
Jumping, like diving head first. So I'm like, okay, this
That's
is what I'm
wild.
doing now. So
Yeah.
I think that would be like my first like welcome to drum corps experience. Like,
Quite literally, welcome.
yeah, like very.
Get in.
And I was like 3 days late. I got like talked to. I did not like seriously talked to, but like somebody like pulled me aside and was like, they're like, "Why are you late?" I'm like, dude, I had to graduate.
I have to graduate high school. I know.
I have to
Isn't that
graduate high
crazy?
school.
Like, we gotta do real life shit. And they're like, what the fuck's up?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what?
And then I was
I don't
basically
know,
told,
man.
well, you're basically going to be behind for all of move-ins. I'm like, bullshit, I am. I'm going to do my
Bullshit.
best to not be behind all of move-ins.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I remember afterwards, another welcome to drum corps moment, though, very shortly afterwards, is after we left Mennonite High School, we went to the Cascade High School. Whatever the fuck
I think
that
we
thing
stayed
is.
there for like 2 weeks. That's where we did the tree thing. That's where,
Yeah,
where
that would be the one, is where Tristan Rieger pulled us all aside and had us sit in a circle on the track. And I remember that was sort of my like very happy moment where I'm like, okay, this is going to be my family for like the next 3 months.
Yeah, that's also for me. I'll never forget that specifically. And I think that's why I harped on it so much as a vet going back there. In the next couple of years, why I harped on it so much that we needed to do that during that, because whenever we'd show up, you'd always get that free block whenever you first got there. I think that's how it worked. Like you get there, like you get the night off, like go just fucking get some air, you know what I'm saying? And that's when we would do our like tradition, Dave the Tree talking about, the summer. And it's like, when that happened for the first time in 2016, I harped on it every summer after that. I was like, guys, we have to do this, because like when I was a kid, and you're scared because you think this thing is just like you kicking your ass every day, and you just want something positive, and your leader and your horn sergeant for that summer sits you down and goes, hey, it's cool. Like this thing is hard. Let's talk about it. You're like, oh, okay.
You're like,
Thank
oh,
God.
thank
Okay,
God.
we're all on the same page. We can go together. Like we're cool. Like we're gonna be great. Like that was one of the most like relieving things for me in 2016. And I'll never forget. I was so happy about that, man.
Yeah,
I love that moment.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest moments for me, was just that beginning part. And then I think we did it again in 2018. I don't know what happened in 2017 because I took that gap year, but I knew that it was really important.
Dog, nothing happened.
I didn't think so. I think the whole vibe changed like a year. It's like stuff your emotions down for a whole year. And then in 2018, we had a bunch of like, we had the 2016 and 2017 vets in this like perfect marriage of rookies that was just like, it was
like,
just
what is the philosophy of this
like,
drum corps?
what is going on? Like the last
that entire summer.
Last time I was here, we were flipping shit at each other all the time, and then the next year, they're fucking talking to people like, "Don't be toxic." It's like,
yeah.
what?
Oh my god. Oh, we're gonna talk
making
about
fun
it.
of you because I like you. Like,
yeah, no shit.
I think you're fucking cool. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm
making
just,
fun
you know
of you
what I'm
because I
saying?
think you're cool.
Oh my god, we
So,
have to talk about that because I have that down in here for like the future, you know,
yeah.
getting down the road, and just like I think it's so interesting that you took off one of the craziest years in 17 and then come back and the culture's completely changed.
Mhm.
You know what? Let's talk about it actually. Let's just while we're
Mhm.
here, so we don't forget, what was that like? Because like for me, getting to like as soon as you texted me and you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna come back this year. I'm gonna start coming to camps." I'm like, I have to fill you in because
Yeah.
like there's a new staff, there's a new culture, there's people coming back this year, and I'm like, it's a different ball game than we were playing in 16. For you, could you like? I mean, obviously you already talked about it, but like, I mean, could you feel that off the bat how the energy kind of shifted, and like what was that
Yeah.
like for you coming back? Not only as like, you know, you're coming back somewhere, but you're coming back in a trumpet section that was low on vets, like very, very young, inexperienced. So you're coming back as a vet. What is that kind of like coming back in that situation? How'd that feel for you?
So it's little known to a lot of people, but I actually did audition. Well, I was offered a guaranteed contract back in 2017. I thought that was bullshit. I wanted to audition for it, you know, and I thought that that was cool. Um,
Good for you.
I'm just gonna leave some like names out of this, but a specific not Horn Sergeant,
We can bleep it.
yeah, no, I mean you can. Yeah, you're gonna have to bleep this. I auditioned in front of him, and I he basically called me a stupid little bitch. No, that's not basic. That is his words. He called me a stupid little bitch, and I need to grow the
I
fuck
remember
up.
that. I think it's because you were like, I think because you came in the audition room, and I remember you telling me the story and why you didn't do it, and it sucked ass because I was like, Riley, what the fuck?
Yeah,
You were just like, yeah, I went in there, and he was just like, you're cool, get out. Like it was something
yeah.
along those lines. It was just like, go, you're a vet, and you're like, what?
Like, no, I want to show you like what I can do so that I can like be part of this corps in a very key way.
Which is
like,
a very rare attitude, I feel like, for a vet to have. Like me, yo, if I can pick up the auto contract, I am hopping on the bus, brother. I'm like, yo, I can come back like for free. Like, yes, I'm back.
I don't know. Maybe it was this like diluted like thought in my head of maybe I'll set a precedent for the future. Because all the other corps, like you have to re-audition, like from what I understand, unless like you were
most corps,
most corps you have to re-audition, yeah. So I thought that that was just kind of part of it. So that's what I ended up doing. So that's why I ended up not marching 17 is because I was berated, and I was like, well, screw that. I'm gonna take a year off, and I'll come back when this fucker's gone. So walking into the season though of 2018, I could feel like a little bit of like tension, but there was a hope there, right? Like because we had Lisa Tatum, she's amazing. Like I don't care really what anybody says. She is a badass. She is. I don't care what anybody says.
Shout out Lisa Tatum. I hope you hear this. You were fucking awesome.
Very seriously, one of the most influential educators that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. Very seriously, she's amazing.
So much respect for her.
And she came in with this idea of we're going to treat people like people. Yeah. And I love that. I love that mentality and walking, but I could also sense a little bit of the tension from 2017 of any of the vets that kind of came back from it, that it's almost like the 2017 vets were like damaged in a way to the point where it was like you were traumatized like all season.
You could feel who came from like what staff and what year.
Yeah.
Like you could feel Lisa Tatum, that she had to be like the new leader for 2018 and this young group of people moving forward. But she had just been teaching with Tim on this staff for how many years. So she's still, you know, she's been around that for the whole time. So like, she still got that fire to her. You know what I'm saying? Cause like in 2017, when Tim like left for a little bit, she was the person who took over in 17. And I remember I was like, fuck, I was like, I kind of miss Tim right now. I'm not gonna lie, because she would
Right,
kick our ass, and I was like, oh, and like hearing
but it
her
was like
yell,
a very, it was like a very loving kick your ass, right? Like
yeah,
she
no,
was only
it
doing
was
it.
honestly just passion, and I didn't learn that because in 2017 I was like,
Yeah,
oh, fuck, man. That summer
fuck,
also
man.
we just got our ass kicked like every day in 2017. So just again hearing someone yell in your face, you're like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like
the
the whole yelling in the face thing is kind of what I expected walking into 2018, right? But
yeah,
it really didn't ever happen. So I was like,
no,
kind of looking back at that whole season, like I didn't really see much of that that tension got relieved pretty quick. I feel like, we did kind of establish a really decent base. I wouldn't say good necessarily, just like a decent baseline for a culture
yeah,
finally after all these years that, OC had a long standing culture prior
yeah,
to before they lost all their staff.
right. I
I
think a
mean, I
big
think,
thing,
yeah,
I
go
think a
ahead.
big credit to that summer in 2018 and why the culture changed and why I think while we all had stuff to say about that summer, I know like us, we were all close and whatnot. I remembered like throughout the summer, especially when like you're getting your ass kicked, you're not scoring super high. The show is just not what you get told at the beginning of the year. And you're just like, man, fuck, I see all these people and all my friends like killing it and doing great.
Mhm.
I think the reason why I look back on that season and I'm like, you know what, that was a good group of people. And like, while we had a lot of things just a lot of circumstances against us, I think why the culture was good and why everyone's attitude and why I feel like that was the most close-knit OC group I was ever a part of in 3 years was definitely because of the leadership at the beginning of the season in May, right before spring training started. We all flew to Portland, I'm pretty sure, early. We flew a couple days early, and you came to this. But we did the leadership training for 2 days in Portland, which I want to talk about later. I want it to have its own story because I think that's one of the most unique things I've ever gotten to do in drum corps. And just in general, I don't even have pictures from that, man. Like, oh no, I think the only pictures I have are the ones we took in front of the lodge.
Yeah,
that was like the only ones I have left. But man, dude, that was one of the most unique things I ever got to do. I think that was so cool. Just like, I think that really set the precedent for that year because it was like, what better way? And it didn't feel official. Like even though we did that weird ass like visual like block for an hour.
Oh my god,
it never made any sense.
It was the side of a street in the parking lot of a cabin in like in like Mount Hood like recreation area.
Why? What we did. But like it felt personal because like it felt more personable. It didn't feel like this, okay, what are we gonna do to be the best Oregon? You know what I'm saying? It was just like, let's sit down as people, let's really like talk about what our goals are for the summer and how we want to act as people and how we present ourselves. Overall, what are our goals for the summer? You know what I'm saying? I felt it was just that set up the rest of the summer. But anyway, I want to get back to a little bit of 16 here because we're flip-flopping back and forth. I kind of like it though. It's cool. But so 2016, before we head off for tour, there's this thing that happens about like 3 to 4 days before tour. And, the drum majors will come after a block and they'll be like, all right, guys, so we're going to do bus seat signups, and so it goes like, vets first, obviously, then down to rookies. So, the vets are all taking the back of the bus, whatever. Right. Me, young wee lad, Jeff, rookie, I didn't talk a lot my rookie year until I like
very quiet.
I was quiet until I got to tour. Like I know a lot of people now and it seems like I talk, but like my rookie year I didn't really talk all of spring training until I like hit tour. So like I just wanted to work my ass off every day and prove myself because I already knew like all the odds were against me. I'm 15 years old. Everyone probably thinks I'm like a young little shit who's like doesn't know any better. So I was like, put your head down and just fucking go to work and just don't say shit. It's like great. But I was like, I don't have a fucking C partner. And I think I asked like the 2 people I had been like sleeping next to. I was like, do you have a C partner already? And they're like, yeah, I'm staying with so-and-so. And I'm like, fuck. Yeah. How am I gonna sit next to him on the fucking bus? And I don't know if you remember how this went, but I sure do. I'll never forget it. Don't. Because I get up, we were in the gym, we were at Cascade, and I start walking over, And I'm like, I just start looking around the gym, and I see you laying down next to your shit, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta ask, you know what I'm saying? I gotta sit next to somebody. And I just went over, and you were just like looking at your phone. I was like, hey, Riley. And you're like, what's up? And I'm just like, have you gotten a C partner yet? And you're like, no. And I was just like, so, would you be down to sit next to each other? Like, would you want to be C partners this summer? And you're like, yeah, sure. And I was just like, yo, for real? And I was like, I'll go put her name down for us right now. And you're like, cool.
That's so
like
funny.
It literally just went like that. I was like, I'll go sign us up right now. And you're like, cool. All right.
And I love like, I love that is like such a core memory that you have, because that was definitely something that I already forgot about. Yeah, and that's awesome. Like, and I don't mean to like shit on that by saying I definitely forgot about that. Fuck you. No. Like, but it was like
I literally have down here. I have a bullet point that says, "Why does 2016 feel like forever ago? Because we aren't that old." I just wanted to say that. Because, like, I mean, there was stuff I forgot, too. Like, I put down here, do you remember at Mennonite when fucking Tristan took us into that little shed? Because there was the whole thing about the stacking with the cases. Because remember, we, like, carried the cases.
I remember that.
And he, like, gave us this whole talking to, like, after, like, a complete day. It was a whole day, and it was nighttime, and we were supposed to go put the cases in the shed. Because we always put our instruments cases in this fucking shed somewhere.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know what we were even getting a talking to about, but it was one of the first times.
It was about
that's
stacks,
also a core memory.
Yeah. It was
a core memory for me, and I'll never forget. That's why I like harped on stacks so much for the rest of my drum corps career, because I was like, fucking Mike, shit, rookie year. Yeah. I'll never forget.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I don't know, honestly, like, to answer your why does 2016 feel like, you know, so long ago. It was like, what, 7 years ago? But you're right, we are not that old. I don't know why. I feel like a lot of it is sort of just like repressing the majority of it, and it gets a lot of the little good bits kind of caught up in it. Like, you know, we had a lot of like pretty shitty times that probably we shouldn't talk about too much, but I mean maybe we can. I don't care, it's your podcast.
I think some of it's definitely valid. Okay, now we're good. Okay, so what were we talking about?
We were just talking about kind of like how the good memories around the season kind of get repressed as part of the season.
Yeah, that's
because
real.
of like the trauma of it.
I think 2017 is a fever dream for me. If I could tell you, I don't think I could list like my top 5. I think I remember 3 things from that summer, and they all involve running somewhere at a very fast pace while a man is yelling, "Move your ass! No, faster than that!" And you're just like, "Oh, fuck!
Fuck!"
Oh, he's like, "You're gonna get loud today," and you're like, "Oh my god!" Like, I swear to God, I feel like that's most of 2017. If you ask me to sum up 2017 in 2 words, it's loud day. That's it. That's loud all I got. And if you know, you know. If you ever got taught by Tim Snyder, you know loud day. Now I gotta explain it.
There you go. Yeah, no. So I feel like that's kind of where we landed there, but I don't know. I feel like that's why I've forgot a lot about 2016. And you know, I think that this is a good time to kind of address this too, is like stress on a young individual who doesn't know how to handle the level of stress that has been presented to them leads them to do things that they don't want to do necessarily. That's or real. Is not rather that they don't want to do, but rather is not indicative of their character. And I
that's
feel like
very true.
I feel like that's true for myself. Like I was kind of like the asshole. Like,
I think like also the environment and where we were in the shit that was being put against us every day. Yes. Like we're out in the middle of nowhere. It's just us living next to each other 24 hours a day. You don't see anybody else. Like most of the time you don't have connection to anything. So like you're only really talking to the people you know, like at night for 5 minutes. And then you're going and you're waking up and you're getting your ass kicked for 12 hours a day. So like that's why the wall just happens, and that's why we all talk about it, because it just happens. But like you're saying, like especially as a young teen, You know what I'm saying? I bet it's better now. I bet with just
Yeah.
everything, how drum corps kind of moved now in that way, I bet it's a lot better now. I already hear it, like, bro, if you march at BD, it's a fucking free day, like every single day.
Yeah,
Like we'd
just
make
every
fun of it,
day.
like running to our water was like a cadet's free day. Like, bro, if you fucking signed a contract at BD, you don't have to touch the field until finals, because they're like, that's all the shit matters. Like, let's just go cop a ring. 22.
Yeah, let's just go get a ring, I guess. Just practice, submit your video assignments, and call it good, dude. Like,
that's obviously that's a joke. I have to say that because
Yeah.
you know, people be like, "Hey, you know what I'm saying? We're working." I'm like, I know, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have Blue Devils people on here, so I'll just make fun of them.
Yeah, there you go. Just for an hour, just shit on that. No, I think that in terms of like, that was another thing that kind of came up, especially like growing into drum corps, right? Is like you see all these other corps that are doing freaking awesome the entire season, and they're kicking ass and doing amazing. And I kind of brought this up a little bit at the beginning. It's really an administrative side thing, because they're taking care of them. And I would not go so far as to say that we were not taken care of at OC. I would just think that there are aspects that could have made the season better. And like, I'll just say oatmeal, and then we'll just leave it at that. Like
2016 was chill. Oatmeal was fucked. I haven't eaten a drop of oatmeal since that year. I haven't. People are like, oh shit, there's oatmeal. Fuck that. No.
I walked into my after 2016, after the season, I walked into the college's like, what the fuck is it called? Cafeteria.
Yeah.
For breakfast the next day, and I saw oatmeal on there, and I almost like retched and like vomited right there on the floor. I was like, no, like I can't do it anymore. I physically cannot bring myself. Smell, texture, taste, even with raisins and stale brown sugar, I can't do it. Like
I can't. Yeah. I don't want to even see it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't like if you don't understand, like just to explain a little bit, there was a group of people that like in Oregon supported the Crusaders a lot, and you know, God bless them, but they sent so much oatmeal to us at the beginning of preseason that like we had oatmeal every day for breakfast, and they would have it at snack, and we did that every day for like 3 weeks, and then they just kept some of it as like a little fucking sneak surprise later in tours. So like you get to Oklahoma, it's 115 degrees. I remember that one specifically because we traveled for 12 hours to Oklahoma, to Tulsa, from wherever we were coming from, and we got off the bus and they were like, yeah, in about 45 we're gonna do a 4-hour block after you just like traveled all day.
God. And I remember I said to everybody that day, right when we woke up, I swear to God, if we're eating fucking oatmeal today, I'm walking home.
And we pull up to the fucking stadium because they said, oh, they're going to have snack for us before we like go do block, right? We pull up, it's fucking oatmeal only. And you're like, I'd rather just throw up in rehearsal and just not eat. And like literally I went past it and I saw other people that said, I'm not fucking eating before this. Like, I'd rather just like, I think that's why like we got our like one and only bus stop of the season on that trip, because it was a long enough ride. Now they get fucking bus stops every goddamn day, but like,
must be nice. You got to piss, fucking find a Gatorade bottle. Like,
yeah.
I remember Alyssa
how many
Wood.
times we did that.
I remember Alyssa Wood pissed in a Gatorade bottle. I remember
she's like, I'm gonna figure this shit out.
No, she's like, I'm gonna figure this shit out. Jeff, you hold the towel. Riley, you hold the towel. And we fucking held the towel over the fucking aisle, and she pissed in a Gatorade bottle in the middle of the drive.
We're not stopping.
Another shout out there to one of the best.
Shout out Alyssa Wood.
Alyssa Wood,
man.
Seriously,
she was dope.
She's one of the best homies. So it's just like
so cool.
So
she's killing it now. I think she's in the Marine band, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's just out there like killing it in life. I don't know. Everyone's
gotta be at this point,
like killing it, dude.
Yeah.
So as we move through the 2016 season, I brought this up in the episode with my brother. But we move along the season. Oh, I have to talk about this first. I have to.
Go ahead.
Because in chronological order, if we're gonna do this correctly, I have to say it. Hopefully, we don't take a lot of time on this. The Mall of America story.
Oh man, I had norovirus for this story too, so it's kind of
great.
Did? That's kind of like an added layer to it. Yeah, because I got it on the bus ride after the Denver regional. the Drum Song of the Rockies.
Oh my God.
I got it on that bus ride, and then we were in Kansas. I remember that. We were in Kansas, and the whole story was I don't know like the details of it, and you can tell more of it, but I remember hearing about how that was going to be a free day, and it's like no, I remember
scheduled. It was fucking scheduled.
It was scheduled that day or like someday or whatever, and we had a free day. And I remember like waking up and like I was like finally getting better over this norovirus shit, and I like walked a block. I could barely hold my trumpet up still. Like they just asked me basically to go rehearse, so I'm like, okay, whatever, like I'll do it. And I walk out and I was like, why? Wait a minute. Like, realized what day it was. I'm like, why are we rehearsing? It's like Saturday. Like, shouldn't we be having like a laundry day or free day or something like that? And it was a horn holding day. I remember this. And it was the horn holding competition.
But specifically, cannot forget, we perform at Weber State. Cool stadium. Got to do it every single year I marched. I love that show. Weber State. Shout out Weber State. Shout out the fans there, because it's just a bunch of bandos. But like, if you perform in this activity, don't hate. Everyone, once you get into this side of the activity, you're like, it's a fucking bando show. Yeah, you know what? That's where you get all your pops, dumbass. Like
that's the best fans.
Those are the best shows, because like those fans are like dying to just hear you. So like, if you suck, like there were so many shows like that Weber State show, like we sucked and they just went crazy for us, and we're the Oregon Crusaders, and we're like, cool, that sounded like a good show. And then we had to be like, fuck no, go back to work.
listening to tape later, and it was like, God, never mind, that was fucking awful.
A lot of feet in the sound, Oregon. Like, fuck. Oh my God. But we perform at Weber State, and then after the show we're hanging out, and Tristan Rieger hits us up in the group chat, and he says, we all need to meet for a little trumpet meeting before y'all go off and do whatever after the show. So put your shit away, whatnot, come meet me here. We all go walk over. We're like, what's up, Tristan? What up, T-Dog? T-Dog Reeks. We're like, what's up, baby? And he's like, so we're supposed to have a free day tomorrow at the Mall of America. And the staff kind of asked all the section leaders to ask their sections how they would feel on voting between having the free day and going to the Mall of America, or rehearsing for the Minnesota regional, because we could rehearse for the Minnesota regional, right? And you will not be punished for this.
Yeah, I remember that part. You will not be punished.
Reminder, guys, when you vote, you will not be punished for this. We said, Tristan said, okay, so who wants to have a free day? I think the whole section is like,
everybody's just,
it's our first one. Like, please, bro. They're like,
other than like the one laundry day we had up to that point, like,
except for the laundry day. But like, you know what I'm saying? So like, we're just like, yeah, of course we want the free day, duh. And like, I forgot how we found out. I think we were just like on the bus, and we get the text that there's gonna be rehearsal the next day. We're like, oh.
Yeah.
I think we read like the message was something like Brass was the only one that voted for a free day. The other groups just fucking didn't. We're like, that's a lie. That's a fucking lie.
That's gotta be a lie. Yeah, that had to have been a complete lie.
There's no way.
Then, despite the best of intentions, we did get punished for how we voted.
Yeah, and then were you there for the rehearsal? Like, did you rehearse that day?
I actually think that I was still out. I think that I was on day 2 of my shit. So
you lucky little fuck, bro. We didn't even do an exercise. He just said, put them up. And
I was there for that. Yes, I remember that because I remember that because I couldn't hold my shit because I just recovered.
Got back.
I was still fatigued, so I'm sitting here more than 3/4 of the way through the season, just like shaking. I'm like, God damn! Like I don't normally shake like this, but I also realized I'm still like weak as hell. I need like a whole other day to recover, but they're making me fucking rehearse. So
and it's hard to like.
Oh man.
I mean, I got it too. And you know what? While we're talking about it, let's just get to it. days happen, rough days happen. It's cool, but we hit the San Antonio Regional, and from here, I'm pretty sure we just speed up and we get out of here. But we do the San Antonio Regional, and then we're finally gonna have our first official free day on the San Antonio Free Day. Now I'm gassed as fuck, and everyone else is just so hyped because it's like, we're finally gonna have a free day. Let's go, baby! Like, we're getting the day off. Let's go. It's gonna be great.
I remember seeing the light come back to your eyes the day we pulled up into San Antonio, dude. Right up to the San Antonio Mall. And then I saw something else start to come up too, bro.
So, I wake up that morning. My stomach's feeling a little rumbly. I go to the bathroom. I have a little something happen. I'm like, could have been what I ate last night. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I got something. I think we walked somewhere. So I was like, could be that, right? I'm like, no biggie. I'm like, it's chill. Let's just keep moving. We get on the bus. We get our things. I'm excited as fuck. I'm like, bro, we're going on a free day. Where are we going today? We're going to the movies. I'm supposed to go see Finding Dory with my brother. I'm so gassed.
Yeah.
We start driving to the fucking mall.
I shouldn't laugh, but this shit was funny for my
I laughed, bro, because we start driving to the fucking mall. I'm like, I'm really tired for some reason. I'm going to take a nap before we go. So I'm napping. I'm going to put my head against the window. I'm chilling. And we're driving. I fall asleep. And then we just hit this bump. And it's like, boom. And I'm like, my eyes just like wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, in that moment, all the shock just hit me. And it went, and I literally, I don't know if you remember, but I literally just went, I don't think I said a single word until I went, Riley, hand me the bucket. I mean, you were like, what? I said, Riley, hand me the bucket. You said, oh, fuck. Oh. And you just started like, you weren't even like, dude, are you fucking kidding me right now?
No, so like, I remember that. I remember you said, get me the bucket. And I had this like primal instinct to be like, holy fuck. I stood up out of my seat and I fucking ran to the back of the bus where they were keeping the fucking buckets.
Because it was
And I fucking like yanked that shit out of somebody else who was fucking puking in it. I've like yanked it away from their face. And I was like, no, he needs it now. And I fucking throw it in front of your face right as soon as you covered your mouth. You covered your mouth and I saw it kind of go. And I was like, no, you're fucking hitting the bucket. You're hitting the bucket. And I remember that vividly. I remember that so vividly.
I felt so bad for you because you
looked at me and you were like, oh my God, no, this can't happen. I was like, dude, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm so glad you were there to be like calm and chill like that. Cause I like immediately, like you would think like I'm crying, but not for the reasons you think I'm crying for. Like immediately I hurl into this bucket and I look up immediately at Riley and there's just tears in my eyes. And he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I can't do this. Like this cannot be happening fucking day, like today. And he's like, no, dude, it's gonna be all good. I'm like, this is the only free day we're gonna fucking get. And I'm like, I'm gonna be sick for the whole day. And that just sucked. And I felt so bad because you had just gotten, I just remember like you had just gotten done being sick. So I was like, I didn't want to get you sick again. And I know I'm gonna have to leave. And so the rest of the day, I kind of told the story in the first episode, but I'll tell a little bit of it. So I go buy new clothes, obviously, because I fucking threw up all over myself. Yeah. So shout out Champs again. Maybe I can get a sponsor. But I basically sit in a kid's playground for about 4 hours because I'm like, I was behind everybody because I'm sick. I'm getting sick as everyone's getting off the bus to go to the free day. I'm just getting sick as everyone's getting off the bus. So it's all hitting me as the free day's beginning. And I sit in this like kids playground for like 4 hours. And then my brother hits me up and he's like, hey, we're going to meet you at the movie at this time. I'm like, I can do it. I can do it.
I can do it.
I can do this. And I get up and this is the first time I'm starting to walk for the day. And I start walking and we meet at the fucking movie theater. And he's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, what's up? I don't say anything about me throwing up. And we just start walking up the stairs and I'm like, and he's like, you all right? And I'm like, and he's just like, what do you mean? And we get up the stairs to where you buy your tickets for the fucking AMC in the San Antonio fucking mall. And I just go all over the fucking lobby, all over the lobby. And everyone's like, and you're like, and my brother's like, yo, what the?
Well, so I wasn't even there for that. I was still kind of
No,
like bebopping
not
around San
yet.
Antonio. I
Not
wasn't there
yet, but
yet.
we go to the bathroom. I keep hurling, and my brother, he had to do what he had to do. I don't even blame him. Like my mom is like, "Why'd you leave him?" I'm like, "Mom, you don't understand, bro. It's the game. Like he's with a different group. He can't get sick by my shit. I can't give his core this because like that's fucked. I get it. So like." He's like, "Is there anyone you can call?" And I was like, "I'm not fucking calling Mike Quillen."
Yeah, you're gonna let me call Mike Quillen instead, motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey Riley, I'm sick in the AMC theater." You're like,
well,
cool.
I could barely fucking understand you. Like to clarify this really quick, I could barely understand you. Like you were like in between hurling and shit. You handed your brother the phone. This is the first interaction I've ever had with Jason, like ever. and I was like, yo, like what's going on? And he's like, Jeff's just like throwing up in the bathroom right now. I was like, okay, so he's puked once, he's puking again. So like, do I need to come get him? Like I'm like, okay, like I just like kind of connected the dots in my head there for a second. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's fine. I think I'm walking around with like Connor Lewis or something like that, so it's not like we're doing anything serious. I think we're looking at fucking like
that was the funniest.
I was looking at something
ever.
to try and take back to my girlfriend. I was like trying to like look for something in the mall, and
yeah,
I do remember this. Like when I got that phone call, I was looking at fucking edible panties.
And you're like,
I got the phone call and I was like, shit.
You're like, can you actually give me 5 minutes? Because I think I gotta make an investment.
I rushed my ass to that AMC and I saw you there like hanging on your like your brother had you like underneath the armpits, like carrying you down the stairs. Yeah.
I don't remember that part, bro.
Yeah, you were basically fucked at that point.
I was gone. Like I remember what I remember from there is because AMC I think was on that top level of the mall, and we had to walk all the way around, which felt like forever. And I proceeded to find every single trash can I could in that mall. And you were walking with me, and you said, "Hey, anytime you gotta go, just hit up a trash can."
Just like, okay, hit a trash can. We're gonna make trash cans our checkpoints on the way out.
You literally said that shit word for word. I remember you saying that because that's the only thing that got me through it. You said, "All right, bud. All right, cool. We're gonna make trash cans our checkpoint. Everything down. So like, you see one, you just go hit it up." And like, I did every single one on the way down. And I remember specifically one was the fucking cop. Like the cop that was standing right next to the one. You. I went like right in it, and the cop just goes, just like looks down. I'm like, "How you doing?" And I just like walked the other way.
You probably looked like you were like fucked up drunk, but like
he thought it was.
I had to explain, like I never had to explain it, but I gave him this like look, like, no man, like this is not like what you probably think it is. But I remember walking you out, and as we were like walking out, Connor Lewis is still with us. He starts getting fucking sick.
Oh, that's true. Oh my god.
So now I have two kids with fucking norovirus on my fucking hands, and I gotta find an RV like 3 miles away to get them to.
Oh my goodness, man.
So I remember that very vividly still to this day. And after I dropped you both off, I called Anna in a panic, and I was like, yo, like, where's the RV? And she's like, I don't know, like, ask somebody else. I called Haley Reeder. And she's like, I don't know. Let me call Mike Quillen.
Shout out Haley Reeder.
Dude.
She was a real one in 18.
Yeah, dude.
She hooked us up. She is a real mom on that tour.
Yeah. Haley and I had a very close relationship, especially in 2016. She's about the only person that could like withstand to just like exist. We have a lot of fun stories, but I know I remember that. I called her. She's like, I'll call Mike and all this other stuff. Like she was part of the core in 2016. Like she was a member.
She was in the garden.
But she had Mike's number and she called him, and then they said, it's over here. I'll send you the location. I ended up walking like 3/4 of the way with you guys. And then you're like, we can take it from here. It'll be fine. And because Connor was like in less worse shape than you, but like he was still like feeling like shit. But you guys ended up getting there. And then begins my story of San Antonio of then I went and found Haley and like filled her in on everything, whatever, cool. That was pretty boring. But then we walked in like outside of San Antonio, like the like area proper of like, you know, the touristy shit. Yeah. And because I went and found a bottle of honey. I was looking everywhere for a bottle of honey. And this is my meet the bus, back of the bus story. I don't care what anybody says, like, about like what happens in the back of the bus stays in the back of the bus.
No,
Fuck
go
it,
ahead.
dude.
If you
That's
want
what this
to.
podcast is for. I do.
Yep, that's exactly what this shit's for. Get into it.
My rookie talent night, so to speak, I think that's what it was. I remember a couple of them, like two of the girls like made out in the back and like took their shirts off, whatever. That shit's boring. I sat there and I like put on like some really soft classical music on my phone. And then I proceeded to like strip my shirt off. I took my pants off. I didn't get all the way naked, but I probably should have for bonus points. I took that entire bottle of honey and drank it halfway down. I dipped my finger in it, drew a smiley face on my chest and stomach, and then drank the rest of it, and then bowed, and then just walked out.
I didn't even know the rest of that existed. Like the only thing I didn't even know for me, like, okay, I was a wee lad, like rookie talent night happened after Atlanta, and everyone was like, you got to come up with your shit. And I was like, I am not doing that. I cannot do this. There's no way. And you were like, oh, I got this shit, bro. And I was like, yeah, go get it.
No. And I had the idea from San Antonio. I was like, I'm going to get a bottle of honey.
You were like, I can't wait.
So quick like backstory for like anybody listening. So honey was another one of those things. It was like the season of oatmeal and honey. So one of the visual caption heads, he said that honey is one of the best natural like energy boosters.
Yeah,
like very early in the season. Honey. So every single morning we would have like packets of honey before PT, and people would peep all over the fucking
BT
place.
Dubs. We'd literally start, but I never had this happen in any other season. But in 2016, like early in that season, we would just start with fucking running PT.
You would run like half a mile and then go do yoga.
Like you just woke up and Anna Quinneman's like, get your fucking ass outside and grab the honey on the way out and move your ass, and you're like, no.
no hate towards Anna Quinneman. We love Anna. She's amazing.
Dude, Anna was incredible.
Anna's incredible.
No, she was incredible. She was a great drum major, great leader, great person, all the things. Love Anna. It's just that voice is so iconic.
It's iconic. Voice is so iconic. Waking up to it for 3 months.
Good morning, Oregon Crusader. You never forget the tone. You don't forget it. You go home, you hear it. I can still hear it right now. I'll never forget when she woke the core up late in 2016. Was it 2016 or 17? I don't know.
Yeah, we woke up.
It was 16. She was like, "Good morning, everybody. I woke the core up late."
No, he didn't wake us up. Brad woke us up.
Really?
Brad woke us up that day. Yeah,
that was on tour. I don't forget
that. Was on tour. I remember hearing his voice instead of Anna's, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got to get my shoes on now." Yeah. I don't know how like forceful.
Like the lights.
I think it was like I think it was a very calm like, "Good morning, Oregon Crusaders." The time is, and it was like 20 minutes past what we needed it to be, and it was like, "Oh fuck." You like I just jolted out of my fucking sleeping bag and just like went, but no.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Back to the honey thing though. So that was kind of like a running joke, right? Like it's like, oh, just do honey because you do PT off of a packet of honey, run half a mile and then do yoga off a packet of honey. We had a bunch of people fucking puke like that first day that it happened.
Oh yeah.
Like people were just yakking all over the place because it was gross. Like you felt like hot shit.
And no water. Hot, no water, put honey in your mouth and then go run up downs, whatever bullshit they had us doing. Like
everything.
Yeah, that was tough.
So I wanted to be like, okay, this is going to be like kind of an ode to it. So my whole like grand plan was to drink an entire bottle of honey. That was it. But then it developed over time. So I got to San Antonio and I got the honey and I'm like, okay, this is a pretty small bottle. Like that's not that impressive. What am I going to do to just like make it better? Yeah. So I just decided like right before they called my name, I was like, all right, I'm going to get fucking half naked and drink this whole bottle of honey and I'm going to improvise. And then the talent happened and then you were looking at a rookie talent night winner right here.
2016 rookie talent night, Oregon Crusaders champion.
Riley didn't exist in 2018
because that shit was definitely not happening in 2018. Speaking of, do we just want to hop over to that?
Yeah, let's just talk. We're already about an hour 15 right now, so maybe
like we've talked a good amount about 16. I guess just to cap off 16, like Brass Line was fire. I really enjoyed that show. Our brass line was gas.
It wasn't loud, but it was good sound. That's what I
it was
loved.
good sound. Like I took a listen to the shows today before we did the interview, and just like exactly what you're talking about. Like even in volume too, like volume and quality of sound, we're beating 18 by a mile because that was a disaster. Not necessarily.
Not the worst disaster ever, but
I just say shit
it
off
definitely.
The bat, but it could have been better.
Just say shit. Yeah.
There was just so much in that summer, and I think I just want to get into it because I think that is going to be what a lot of people who are listening to this podcast, at least off the bat, I think if there's any 18 people out there who marched, I feel like people will want to hear stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? Instead of just like, oh, 2018 was a solid show and I really liked I don't think you want to hear that. I think you want to hear what I thought about that summer, truthfully, as coming from two people who were vets that summer, who had already done drum corps, who were coming into a season with a young group, new staff, new corps director, BT Dubs, shout out Mike Grimes.
Great dude, by the way. He was always looking out for everybody's best interest.
Solid dude.
I love Mike Grimes. He's a great man.
I do appreciate how he always kept it real with us. Even if it was in like the most brutal moments, I think it just kept us honest and it kept us working, because I think as a young group, you kind of need something like that. Like I remember specifically the day my family came to see us for the first time. We were in Odessa, Missouri, and we were going to go perform in El Dorado that night. Yeah. And we had pulled up, and we literally had 30 minutes to 45 minutes of sleep. Like we pulled in at 9 a.m. and they're like, you get an hour and a half, take a nap. And we're like, what? We're going to get in there and have 40 minutes. And they're like, and then what? And then they're like, 3 hour brass block followed by 3 hour brass block followed by a 3 hour ensemble, we'll say. And we were like, what? And so like we went to sleep, and we went to brass block, and you'd think after 3 hours we'd go eat lunch, and no, it was time to rev up those fucking Go-Gurts and those cheese sticks and those fucking granola bars, those warm ass cheese sticks. And it was like, you get 15 minutes to run over that table. And I mean, run to that table and then get to the field, because this ensemble starts in 15. And it's like, that happened so much on tour, and I think that's something that bothered me so much about that summer. It was the same thing, kind of like how 17 ended. Like maybe not so much in 17. For meals, I guess if we're talking about meals here, oatmeal, ham, and green beans we had all the time in 17 for some reason, and then 18, I feel like we just didn't fucking eat.
I feel like we didn't either, to be honest.
I feel like we didn't eat. And I feel like we didn't sleep parts, and I feel like that's why like everyone just cried at the end, because we were just so tired.
I remember releasing the last note of that show in Indy, and I just cried. I just started crying. Like I couldn't keep it in anymore. I was like,
you gave your full body to that shit.
This is the last time that I'm ever going to have to do this. Like,
I think that's how we all felt, legit, like for real. Like I won't forget, we went out to dinner after that show, and we were so happy that was the first season and only season where, besides 17, but I don't know, I don't really remember much of 17, to be honest with you. But 18, I felt like, I don't know, I just wanted to keep moving on, man. Like that was just such a tough one because of like, there is some serious shit that I don't think I'm going to talk about. There is some deep rooted shit, some deep level shit. I think I'll save that for the adults. I'm 22. Yeah. I understand where my place is in this world, and I understand that some information is just for some people to know and for some people to don't. Yeah. And I think that's a respect of the game too, because like I don't want people shitting on different people out here because they just heard it from somebody, or like they're going to bash the organization, because I mean, well, let's be real, the Oregon Crusaders folded. They didn't officially announce it to anybody, but they did. Right. They folded.
I think it was more of like an involuntary thing. They didn't really
it kind of just had to happen.
They wanted, so
but still give respect. Give respect to the people who, tried to make that ship run. It is not an easy job. Like especially when you're in that sub 12 type of core, like you got to feel for all those people. Like people are coming back this year, like Splana, and I mentioned them, these three cores the most because I think they're making amazing comebacks and just great strides. But Splana, Colts, and Troopers, like when we were marching, those groups were hanging out there right with us, and now those groups are like, they're excelling and they're scoring great. They have great shows, they have great memberships, and it just looks like they're rocking it, and it's so cool to see. I forgot what my point was there. That's the first time I ever just like started rambling
just
and
kind of went off. Yeah,
that's I don't remember what I was talking about. That's good though. First time in an hour and 22 minutes.
I think that you're right though, especially when it comes down to like you said, like a lot of the stuff was just stuff that's not even really worth talking about, especially in such like a public setting. I'm not saying like, don't talk about these things. Like obviously trauma from drum corps is a very real thing that is a very shared experience between a lot of people. Definitely happened. Like, and you don't want to like play that down at all, but there is like a time and place for that sort of stuff. And a lot of very serious things did happen in 2018, but I think that kind of like segueing away from being so serious here, I think that one of the saving graces of that season was just how cliquey the corps could get. And in this, I know that sounds really bad, but like, yes, like we basically created our own mini drum corps within the Oregon Crusaders in 2018.
We were a little toxic in that summer, but that's because I think we just got to tour, and coming away from it now, getting a little older. I remember it was cool because y'all were really like my best friends.
Yeah.
I think originally that group starts with me, you, Dylan Ryder, and Josh Sanchez.
Middle of the bus. We were middle of the bus boys.
Middle of the bus because I was the only one who was under 18. And I said to y'all three, I said, boys, can we make the sacrifice and sit in the middle? And you said, fuck, Jeff.
No, but then that ended up being one of the best seasons.
It was so much fun because we actually had a really good spot. Like we had some solid people around us, so it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like I think like Alyssa and somebody else sat in front of you. Then that brought on the like bringing Alyssa into like our little like group, so that was pretty cool. There were like our little group there. The TMG,
it started as the four of us.
Now is another podcast that exists in the world.
Yeah, but it started this summer and
it ended up working. But you got to remember, we were basically cut off from like the outside world. Like
we were just like, yeah, sure. I think this is a funny name.
This sounds cool. Like
this is a funny name.
I got home from that. And I was like, shit, this already exists.
Like a podcast. Damn it.
But yeah, no, I think that was really kind of what saved that summer for me, is just being able to kind of hone it down and kind of pair off like all the excess, like if that kind of makes sense. Not in the sense like, I didn't like anybody in the corps. There's one individual that I'm not fond of to this day, but beyond that, like I still have mad respect for everybody that marched. I probably couldn't name outside of that group that we had though, like maybe like 2 or 3, but I couldn't name outside of like the 10 that we had. Just because that, again, back to the repression, like we had so many more good memories just as that group than we did as a whole corps. And I think that that's an important sort of reflection about the season. And
I think it was just so cool because like, and not to cut you off either.
Yeah,
I just wanted to talk about like, for me, what it always felt like, I feel like people always looked at it on the outside as a clique because we were so tight. Because me, you, Dylan, and Josh, from the jump, I remember when we did that leadership training in Oregon, and we kind of all had a talk together. Dylan wasn't there because Dylan's going to be on the next episode. And
We're going
to talk all about Dylan Ryder in 2018.
About Dylan Ryder in general is going to fill fucking 4 hours.
In 2018, he stressed me the fuck out, man. In 2018, he stressed me out. He
stressed me out too. Dude, I remember you showed up to that first satellite camp in Texas because I was there because I was like part of the leadership, and you were there too. And I remember doing our stretch block in the morning, And I like kind of heard somebody like come like sit down kind of like next to us and kind of join stretch block. And I was like, oh, cool, whatever. Somebody joined. I'm looking the other way. And then like we flip around and do the other stretch. And I see him there. And he's got like fucking long hair and like a beard now. And I'm like, I was like, dude, Dylan, is that? I was like really quiet because I wasn't trying to like interrupt. I'm like, Dylan, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm coming back. I'm like, bro, what? Why didn't you say anything?
He never said anything, dude. He did the same shit in 19. I'll talk to him about it, but he literally, we didn't know we were going to like march together that summer until it was November camp for Blue Knights in 2019. And I was flying out that day and I have all my bags with me and I'm ready to start driving to the airport with my mom. And I get a text and it's just Dylan. And he's like, what time's your flight? Just like, what? Mind you, we haven't talked since like finals night 2018. So he's just like, what time's your flight? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, are you going to this camp? And he's like, oh yeah, I'll be there at like whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? We're getting there at the same time. And I was just like, okay, cool. So we're gonna march together again.
That's so sick.
But yeah, I just felt like that group, especially off the jump, when the big moment for me and why I wanted to stick so close with you guys that summer was because when we pulled up to the first housing site, which I'll talk about with a bunch of other OC people as well. But what was the place? Mount
West
Hood.
Night? Oh, the Mount Hood Recreation.
The
Camp, whatever the hell.
Camp Howard.
Yeah. Camp Howard.
Was that it?
That was Camp Howard.
Camp Howard? Okay, yeah. And while that place was, honestly, that place was dope as fuck. If any other
10 minutes early just to take a piss outside, dude, and
just go look at Mount Hood. Like literally, I did that a couple days. Yeah, no, it was.
Oh, I did it every single morning, dude. You told me about that you were doing it. So after you started doing it, I'm like,
I started in 17.
I'm gonna do that now. So like I would like wake up a little bit earlier than you,
and the sun would just be coming up, and the mountain would just be clear.
Oh man, Camp Howard was awesome. But yeah, anyway, keep going.
Place. But we went up to. I wanted to show you guys because we had been in there in 17. But for you especially, I was like, hey, we gotta go check this out. And we go up to the top, like the very top of the campsite where the mountain is. And we kind of just started talking about the season. And from there, I was like, man, we need to stick together. And we need to, like, if we want this to be like a good year, because we know there's going to be some challenges, like we really got to stick together in this. And we really got to like have each other's back and like push the group. We got to be leaders and we got to be vets. And I think it was huge for you in our growth because like in 2016, like you talked about earlier with just like the environment and the stress levels and everything, you were much more like, oh, my disk is full, whatever. I need to clear some space on my computer. But you just had like a lot more stress on you in 2016. And, you know, and it just happens and it's all a part of growing. But in 2018, I remember you were just like, hey man, like, you know, I think we talked on that like leadership trip in Portland because it was kind of just like I was kind of like filling you in on like the culture now, and I was like, hey man, it's like, look, I love that you're back this season, and like we're boys, but like we can't do that anymore. Like it can't happen like the same. And it wasn't like to talk down to you in any sort of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was just we were like talking to each other as adults at that point because we're
in a different culture. Like it's just not they won't fly. Like they won't take the shit because it like in 2016 it'd just be like that staff was just like because they were all Madison guys, so they were just like yep, that's about right. And then like in 2018 it's a whole different culture. DCI is changing, you know, so much about the activity, and so it's just like you can't be the same way. But I think it's from there, kind of just all of us being on the same page from the jump. It was always like that group, and we kind of just added on because we were just like, oh, you're cool, but we really like. I don't think it was anything of a clique, and like you're not too cool. It was kind of just we were
just tight
together. We were boys, and we were tight from the start, and we knew we had to be tight if we wanted to, you know, make it through that fucking season. Because there were some times I'll never forget, like especially Texas week when it was hot as fuck.
Oh yeah,
and you know. if they're canceling shows or they're postponed, whatever, because it's like 115 degrees. We're not even like
not even supposed to be rehearsing in this.
We're not
weather.
even supposed to be outside. We're taking 20-minute breaks so we can stay underneath. I'll never forget those breaks because I would sit there. Shout out Jerry. Shout out Jerry, because I remember me, him, you specifically, we were like underneath the bleachers and we were in Texas and we're like, boys, so we're all going to the BD camp next November, right? Because we're just like, we gotta go. Like, we gotta go out. We gotta get the fuck out of here. Like,
I think that's kind of what sparked the whole like click idea.
Yeah, because we were all like in the middle of the season, we were already like, we gotta go for the next thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like, I don't think it was anything of this is too good for us. It was just like we all want to push ourselves. I think we all push ourselves in block.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what spawned it, though, is like that we were all constantly pushing ourselves harder than even each other. We challenged each other to push each other harder every single day. And I think that was kind of back to what I was saying, sort of the saving grace of it all is like, we were all pushing each other so goddamn hard every single, even off season when we were doing all those the Sarah Myers workouts.
Yes.
Like even off season, like I would text people and be like, "Yo, did you get your?" Shout out Sarah Myers for real.
My
crazy deadlifting lady. Jeez,
my favorite tech of all time.
Favorite tech of the century, probably, dude. Like she's.
I'll have
amazing.
Plenty of time to talk about her. I could have a whole fucking episode of Sarah Myers stories and how much she helped me grow as a person, how much I just fucking love that person, Sarah Myers.
But yeah, even in that off season though, like I was texting people like, "Yo, you doing your workout this week? Hey, like I challenge you to do this," and we would always just push each other so hard. And I think that is what I wanted out of drum corps, kind of coming back full circle. Is that when I walked into 2016, that's what I expected, was to just be pushed beyond belief and do it, like achieve it, and go beyond it, because that's how you just achieve greatness in that activity. Is you just push yourself beyond what you think is capable. You realize you can do it, and then you just keep setting that bar higher and higher and higher. And I think that whole group was really, really good for that. We were always constantly pushing each other. I remember Indy like semifinals day, like I had to actually tell Josh, we haven't even talked about that guy yet, fucking Josh Sanchez.
He's also coming on the podcast, which I am so grateful that he wants to come on. I think it's so cool. He's
going to have a lot of cool stories.
I think the second, his episode will come out. His episode should come out like second or third week of October. When we do that, he'll figure it out. It's down the road. But
his life is always up in the air. Like I still talk to him to this day.
Yeah.
But when his episode comes up, he'll probably explain everything. But
I can't wait.
Such a stand-up dude. And I just remember like he had this such quiet energy about him that just like made you want to just keep going. He would look at something and be like, "That sounds easy."
I don't know. He just always was so like, I think it was just so cool with him because he was just always so like level-headed, just like never too high, never too low, and he would just bust his ass no matter what, no matter how much pain he was going through. He was just like, got to do what I got to do, and you're just like, what? How do you do that? And he's like, I don't fucking know. He would just say it just like that and be like, I don't fucking know, and just like go run somewhere. You'd be like, what? Yeah. So, but we're getting to this point here. I kind of want to wrap up with a couple of quick hit questions here just for you. We've had a great episode. I think this has been not so much about the chronological like events and like rehearsals so much, but I've really enjoyed this because I feel like this was a really good look in like the mental side of drum corps performers. And I think that's great because it is just, I don't know. I think that's the point of this podcast. It's just getting a real authentic look at people's experiences in this activity. I'm a big fan of that because whenever I, meet somebody, I always want to know what the culture was like. I'm not asking, "Oh, dude, what was it like to perform Metamorph?" I'm like, can you talk to me about like, I don't ask any questions about the show. I'm just like, I want to know what your group was like and what your culture was like and what do y'all do on this? And like, that's all the questions I ask all the time because I'm a nerd, one, but like two, I want to see like the human side of it. You know what I'm saying? So to wrap us out here, just a couple quick hit questions. I asked this in the last episode, and I kind of want to ask it again. Favorite venue to perform at?
Ooh, this is kind of a sleeper, but I think it's a toss up here. It's Weber State for sure. Weber State was definitely one of my favorites, and then the sleeper one is in. Fuck, dude, it was the day that we ditched the Shakos and it was rainy and everybody slipped on the fucking field. I forget where that was. It was like somewhere down in the South, though. I think it was like Mississippi, Louisiana.
Just 2016?
2018. After we ditched the Shakos and put on face makeup. That
was
one.
So lit, by the way, we did that. I'm so glad we did that.
Me too.
But I don't remember.
I forget the name of it, but like, dude, that show was just electric to perform at because people were slipping and breaking their fucking instruments. And
now I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because I remember that because like we had so many points where people were just falling and slipping everywhere.
Yeah, that was like the day that like our percussion beat out Madison Scouts percussion. Like I was like, Jesus, like everybody just went balls to the walls, just like pure energy was on that field that day. Yeah. Everybody walked off the field feeling amazing, and I think fondly of that. I couldn't tell you where it is, but I know that is definitely one of my favorite venues for sure. Allentown's also kind of up there as well, like top 3 right there.
Allentown's a cool one. I think nowadays it's more like show friendly from it. What I'm seeing is like a lot of people are getting. I kind of do miss the venues where it was like, I'm sounding like such a fucking old head. I'm 22 years old. I really like where the activity is going, by the way. I like that it's making a comeback, and I just want to put that out there for the record. But it was a thing back in the day. Like you would go like to Allentown, and if you got a standing ovation or any sort of a pop, it was like, hey, you guys had a good show. Yeah. Like don't
because that's where like the serious drum corps fans
that's where your old heads are at. So if you can get some claps and some cheers, and if you can get a couple people standing, you had a good show. So like that was like you just felt like you had to work when you were out there. You had to work for that pop. You had to give everything you had. And like same thing with like it happened every year still, no matter what, but the Troopers home show.
Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming.
That's my least favorite one, but also maybe my favorite one at the same time, because like, I mean, seriously, they're the best type of fans, because honestly, I wish that's how some home shows were, because it was like, it's fun. It adds that like competitive element where it's like, man, fuck these people, man. We're going to give them a show. You know what I'm saying? Because like, seriously, any other drum corps, when you go out there and you're not the Casper Troopers, bro, get out. Like I remember multiple years just like looking in the crowd when you're performing and on their book, on their phone, they're like on their everyone's phone. Looking like, down.
They don't even care that you just walked out and the announcer just gave you the best
and it's real. Oh yeah, whole announce and it goes like couple claps, nothing crazy. It's just like But if you walk back to that stadium when the Troopers were on,
crazy, everybody's
going, and it was like, this town exists. Like, there's people in this town. Like, what the fuck? It was just like, man.
I have to throw another one in the mix there. My own home show for Boise, the CUNA show.
It sucks. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It is the worst venue out of all of the venues across the tour.
That grass sucks.
It is my favorite show because I remember the best words that I ever heard were in 2018 from Lisa Tatum. She said, I want you to blow down those stands, just because it's an empty area. Like there's like a school like half a mile away. Nothing else behind this like football stadium like field. Stands. There's like stands on the other side, but like right there, it's just like a small little press box and everything. And just like being able to wail out there, your sound just carried so far. And that was that had to been. I mean, I'm biased though. That's my hometown, so it's like south of my hometown. So
next little quick hit question here.
Yep.
You have a hardest set you remember marching? Like so difficult to where you're just like, bro, how the fuck are we gonna do this?
Yeah, I remember. My set in 2018, a lot of this is going to be from 2018. I don't remember a lot of 2016 drill.
That's true.
2018, the set where we formed the axe, it came out of a big, long, like stretch across the field. And I had to do like I think it was like a 2.5 to 5, or no, it was way more than, it was like way more than a backwards jazz run. Like, and I had to haul ass after playing like a fucking fairly like, you know, lead trumpet note up at the top and fucking haul ass right to like basically the tip of this axe, and then like turn it directly into like the smallest steps I've ever had. So I think that is definitely one of the hardest sets that I ever had. But to be honest,
or like the OC track team, remember like in the opener of that show in 18, where it was like some reason like 6 trumpets on 1 yard line, just like for the entire length of the field, by the way, just go, and then like
it's like
snap your horn up immediately, like, and then just play like a B natural,
the most beautiful note you've ever heard. It's like, okay, I guess, like,
for sure, Lisa, I'm right there.
I'm right there. But the thing, that would be another one of my most difficult ones too, is just like, because I was front and center on that whole line. So I set the whole line.
Literally. So I was looking down the entire time. I remember that.
That one was a little tough. So.
Yeah, mine was definitely the backwards R. When I literally every day I had a problem with that fucking set, and it wasn't like hard.
You got singled out in
that was just
for that.
And it happened every single day on tour.
Every single day.
Like I couldn't figure
Jeffrey,
it out.
cover down, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, go more left. Okay, now you see the space. Okay, make that. And it was just like, I don't know. I would make the adjustment, then there'd be a new adjustment. Then I'd make that adjustment. It's like, go back to the old one. Okay, go back, do this now.
Go back to the first one now. It's like,
I'd start asking everybody, I'm like, can you see? Like, can you look at this again? Are we sure? So what's something you wish you could have told yourself before you started drum corps?
Yeah, I kind of been thinking about this one the whole interview, and you touched on it a little bit. You know, when we walked aside and talked a little bit about, you know, stress levels, I would say let the stress just roll off you. Obviously, you have to have a certain level of stress to be like very time oriented and very organized that way. But if somebody else is like messing up, don't stress it. Like, it's fine. Everybody's there to learn. Everybody paid a ton of money to be here,
to be there.
Everybody wants to be here. So keep that in mind. If I had to go back and do the activity or tell my younger self to do that, it'd just be like, everybody wants to be here. So just keep that in mind.
I think, that's great. I think that's so valid. That's so important. And I think mine's a lot similar to that, because I would say like, don't take things too personal, but also don't be so hard on yourself. And I think that all involves with stress. Like, man, if I ever got a comment, even if it was the smallest thing, dude, I was like fucking Michael Jordan. Like, I took that personally. Like, I'm sitting there in the chair drunk as shit. Like, I took that personally. Like, every single, like, bro, like, if I ever, through every year, it sucked because I got to like the highest point of performing with the Blue Knights, and I was still so hard on myself. And everyone was like, why? You've been marching for 4 years at this point. Shut the fuck up. And I was like, you guys don't understand. Like, I've been cut a million times. Like, I come from the fucking bottom at this point because OC placed 22nd the past year. Like, I have to prove that I can still fucking belong here, this whole shit. But he was just like, hey, bud, go out there and just give your best effort. And let the stress roll off of you.
Especially as you find where that best effort really continues to build throughout the season. And I was definitely hard on myself for that too, but I tended to project outwardly. You project inwardly, I project outwardly. I would always be like, well, this person's not doing this and this, well, they want to be here too, and they're learning and they're doing it too. So don't harp on them. Try and focus on yourself.
Sorry, but anytime, this is a funny one. It's funny now. Anytime we'd get to a housing site on tour, bus would pull up to the housing site, it'd stop, lights would be off, lights would flick on, and you'd just hear like, okay, and Riley'd be like, shut the fucking lights off. Just like yelling from the back, like, everyone shut up. And I would just be sitting there, I was like, oh, what? He'd be like, shut the lights off.
Yeah, I'm like, turn the fucking lights off. Like, oh my God. I remember a lot of that.
Oh man, dude. But,
I want to openly apologize to Michael Freeney for giving him such shit in 2016. I'm sorry, but you did not deserve half of the shit that I told you.
Like, honestly, I think we laughed. We're not laughing. I gotta say this because I fucking love Michael Freeney. Michael Freeney's the whole reason I went to Blue Knights. Like, that is one of my best friends. Like, he is the reason I stayed sane through 2017. And like, when I got to watch him go be amazing at BK in 2018, he was the whole reason why I wanted to go. Like, he was the whole inspiration. I saw how much fun he was having, and I missed him so much. And I was like, I have to march with him again. Great person, and BK's fucking sick. So I need to go see Michael Freeney again. So Mike, I was gonna say Michael. We never called him Michael, bro. And fucking Freeney, if you're watching this, we're not laughing at you. We're not making fun of you. We all love you here.
You're
God
awesome,
damn it. No,
dude.
It's just funny. I'm pretty sure if he came on, he'd just be like, yeah, fuck you guys.
Yeah, probably.
He probably would. He'd probably say some shit. We'd both be like, yeah, real? Yeah. I'm being tiss on us. But let's see here. Maybe 2 more and we're out of here. Sure. I know. God, I told Grant no more 2-hour episodes. I'm doing it again. I just think it's impossible. I like talking to my friends.
Well, at least 20 seconds of it will get cut from your piss. So
yeah, real. But what did those 2 summers teach you and prepare you for with where you are now in your life?
I think a lot of the discipline comes through. Just carrying the same weight of you have to be great every single day. You have to wake up and, I think Ryan Cloud, shout out that guy. God, so many shout outs this episode, but Ryan Cloud, what a G. He said, piss with excellence. And yes. I took that one to heart. And,
I'll never forget it.
Yeah. He's like, wake up, drink coffee with excellence, piss with excellence, do everything with excellence. So I think that lesson has carried through a lot into my life, especially we didn't really touch on what I'm kind of doing now, but like I'm a cook, bartender. I work in food service a lot now. And even if you're not the best, you can still be excellent at what you do. And I think that waking up every day with that drive is important. It's very difficult, but you can wake up every day with that drive and carry about throughout your day with excellence. And I think that's really important.
Absolutely. That's a nugget there at the end, dude. Oh my God. Okay. I don't even want to ask any more questions. Right. I don't even think I do. That was a good
cap
one.
It off there, yeah.
I guess before I leave, top 5 rappers dead or alive. Go ahead.
Top 5 rappers dead or alive.
Just to throw the whole thing left. I was like, that was a really good thing. And I'm just like, hey, top 5 dead or alive. Go ahead.
Top 5 rappers dead or alive. I can't even do that right now. Okay. I'll text you a list of my top 5 right now.
I'm just so dude. I'm an asshole. I always got to ruin a good moment.
That's all right.
That's funny. So yeah, we're gonna we're gonna wrap here. We're gonna wrap here at the end. I'm still figuring out how to do outros. I did a pretty good intro there. Yeah. But we're learning every single week. But Riley, thank you so much for coming on and doing this episode. This was such a fun trip down memory lane for me, honestly. This was an incredible episode. I think people will love this episode. I think this takes a really good look inside the mind of a performer, what's going through your head during a summer. And I think that's the whole point of this podcast, is just getting an authentic look, just having a casual space to talk about your drum corps experience and everything that comes with it. So, yeah, with that, man, I just want to say thank you for coming on. If you watched this episode, thank you for watching, 1. But number 2, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. I appreciate you guys so much for the support right off the bat. The support that this channel has gotten off the bat is crazy. I appreciate everybody who's reached out and just said, hey, this is an awesome show. This is an awesome idea. Like, I just listened to the show. It was great. Thank you to everybody. I hope we can keep this going. This is very fun for me. I just like sitting down talking with my homies every single week. So, Riley, thank you for coming on. This has been episode 3 of the Meet the Bus podcast. We will see you next time.